Okay.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody. Welcome.
Welcome to Universal Co-Creation with Lauren, Olivia, and Tiffany. How you guys doing?
Guys.
Welcome. So I'm excited about today, talking about the energy of the upcoming week. This is a big week for me. I'm traveling tomorrow morning, and I'll be in Texas. So it'll be like a big shift for me, big change of location, just like change of energy, getting out of this space that I'm in and like moving into processing, I think, for me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, this is the end of April 2020, and we're going to be moving into the first part of May 2020. And it feels like there is a lot of shift for all of us, and and I think, Tiff, you definitely have a personal thing that you're processing, but there is a processing that we're going through globally as we kind of are emerging to some degree from what has been going on with the COVID-19 stuff over the last few months. And so even though there's not a lot that has changed, at least where I specifically live, you can feel that people feel like a momentum of stuff coming back to life or changing. And we're processing, okay, what's been going on for the last few months? How am I going to step into this new era, this new culture, this new climate, and what am I bringing with me to it, and how am I going to interact with the world in it? Because we've all been doing our own way of walking through this, and we're going to now shift how we've been walking through the last few months, with most, if not everybody, being on some type of shelter in place, to, okay, now that we're coming back in, what is that chrysalis for the caterpillar created, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like also navigating the energy of fear. So some people are like eager to get out, and some people are fearful about this get out thing, that everything's going to come back again. And so like releasing that and really going internal and not allowing outside stuff to influence our energy and our feelings, because we're all going to be really sensitive to that. There's going to be there already is a lot of stuff coming out from people's perspectives about what's going to happen now, and not being really in what's happening now. Like really a lot of like future jumping and not like allowing us to really be present in this time, in this moment, in this day, in this week, in this body or whatever. So thinking about the future is great when you're doing it in a controlled, I don't want to say high vibration, but like a controlled, like awakened creative state, rather than just the cluster of yuck.
Yeah. And so that actually is a great segue to something that I have been seeing and experiencing, is this profound creative explosion. People are creating all over the place in profound ways. Things that have kind of been queued up and you're like just thinking about doing are now exploding onto the scene.
Yeah.
Hold on. We're back.
We're back.
So we have decided to, we're going to do some cards for the upcoming week, just as a guide to help kind of set the tone for what's going on. And this is really intended for all of those who are connecting with us here in this time, space, and reality. It could be whatever day of the week, whatever day of the month, whatever year it is that you're connecting with us, there's something in these messages for you. And that's the intention that we hold for everybody here.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what deck am I going to use today? Because cards are something I use in my personal life, but I don't always use in my professional life. And so I am using the very classic Magical Mermaids and Dolphins by Doreen Virtue. And this may actually be the very first Oracle deck that I had. If not, it's one of the first. And So since these are some of our first YouTube videos, I thought, why not go back to a classic deck? And I love the images and the messages here, because a lot of them are, it's timeless messages that can apply to almost everybody in their lives. And so it's not quite as specific as, well, I mean, I can find a way to figure out how something applies to me, even if it doesn't seem like it does. Like a pregnancy card, I'm like, well, I'm not pregnant, but I am birthing creativity.
I got a reading the other day, or I did one of those YouTube, like, pick a pile.
Yeah.
And she talked about marriage, and I just immediately put it toward us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's like coming together, this marriage, this collaboration. And I was like, yeah, all right, okay. So
yeah, totally
it's not always exactly, you got to lean into it.
Yeah, you have to take I have to take my literal mind out of it and be like, okay, what is this an example of, an allegory of, what is this, what could this be more representative of? Okay, cool. You want to do your cards?
So I have trouble with decision making. So I packed a lot of my decks for Texas, and I still think I'm going to pack more, because I'll be there for 6 weeks, and I'm going to be doing my lives and doing readings. And so I'm like, maybe I'll just bring them all and do some of those like stack pick a card readings. So we'll see. But the ones I didn't pack yet, I pulled out. So I have a few, but I think they'll like kind of go together with like a nice cohesive thing. So the first one is from the Earth Magic deck.
Ooh.
And I got clouds, shape shifting. And this really makes sense for me for this week coming up, because everything's it's changing, it's shifting. Yep. That's exactly what's happening. And we, on a daily, if not moment by moment basis, are shape shifting and changing. And we don't have to stay stagnant in the same energy. Like, we don't have to be stuck there. And so honoring that, like, oh, I liked this yesterday, I don't like it today. That's okay. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me or that I'm inauthentic. It just means that maybe I've learned something new, or my perception has changed. And so for like the collective, it's just really, it feels like navigating your internal awareness system right now and paying attention to what serves you, and being okay that things are changing and things are shifting, and you're going to be shifting, and we're all shifting, and that's okay. And we may find ourselves coming back together, or we may find ourselves spreading apart, but just to be okay with it and aware of it, and kind of sit in it and allow the clouds, like allow ourselves to float along with it and just go with the flow and see where it takes us, see what happens, because we can transform into such creative, beautiful, wonderful things if we just allow it, and then the next card was from adorable Kyle Gray. Like, I love him. He's so cute. Adorable. Keepers of the Light. Mm-hmm. And it is charity, prayer, and contemplation. Ooh. And connect with heaven, ask, and you shall receive. And we just talked about this. I don't know if it was on the recording or not, but just like give it over, let it go. If something's on your mind, like if you're having trouble in this time with this mm-hmm. energy, with the fear, with bad, and you can't get away from it, give it over to whatever it is for you, but just like surrender it. Just allow yourself to surrender the thoughts, surrender whatever it is, and ask for help to deal with it if you don't feel like you can deal with it yourself, from people, from spirit, from whatever, or maybe ask for it to be revealed a little bit deeper, like what does it mean for you, and you'll be given the answers. And then what do you want? Like, what do you want? What do you want this month to look like, this week to look like, your day to look like? Start setting the attention when you put your feet on the floor. All right, this is what I wish for. And then trust that it will happen. So just like turning over your heart and getting into the space of the heart. The next one is a little bit, I don't want to say darker, but I love this. This is really cool. It's from the Starseed Oracle.
Oh, I want that one so bad.
I love it. And it's, you're not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness
Oh,
and face your true north. And we were just
yes,
talking about
yes.
this. Like my issue, my pattern, my whatever that I'm dealing with personally is the need for approval, yet also the need to be this individual weirdo that I am, and I embrace it, but then I don't fight it, but I like fight for others to approve of it and to understand it and understand me and just seek to be understood, right? And we should seek to understand rather than be understood. And so I have to like shift that and switch into that, embrace who I am, but also embrace who they are. So it's not just about personally, you know, standing in me and this is me and like being this bull about it, but being a little bit softer and embrace that maybe I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. And it's okay to not change, but it's okay to, like, I don't have to be so brazen about my stuff just to like prove that I am that. And like, I can be that, but I can also be loving and soft and kind and understanding and listen. Because when I try so hard to be understood, I'm not hearing. I'm not listening to the heart behind the words that people are saying, that there's a message there for me. Every person that we come into contact is a gift from our creator, or gift from our higher selves, or whatever you want to call it. It's a gift. It's there's a message in every person we meet. And so if we're still fighting so hard to like fight that, then we're not receiving the love in it. And so like facing your truth with love and understanding, and not needing to be approved of by everybody else, and just knowing the universe and the guidance that we have is there for us, and whatever lights us up is all that matters. I
was just gonna say, it makes me think of those who are kind of awakening right now, or are kind of being like, okay, so what about angels? What about my higher self? What about that there might be something out there that is beyond myself? And having those thoughts and ideas, and not necessarily being sure how to express those to those people around them, because, you know, if everybody's always known you as, you know, one certain way, then how you're going to be accepted as you say, you know what, I kind of looked into this, and I feel my higher self is assisting me. Like, it's kind of is that transition that people are in, or as light workers are awakening, seeing that, okay, how do I express myself in my authentic way without having to be like, you have to take it, or also like shielding that because we're afraid of how people are going to receive it, just kind of being it.
Yeah. And it goes back to the shapeshifter thing. Like a lot of people are in this process of an awakening and dabbling into new things and internally kind of shifting, and some are not comfortable with it, some are into it, and everybody has their own process, and like trust the process.
And what I was thinking about too with the clouds is that, you know, I can say, oh, hey, look at the clouds, look at it, looks like a cat, and you could look at it and you could say, well, that looks like a dog to me. Like, perception, how other people perceive us is really completely outside of our control. Like, I do what I believe to be the right thing, or what is in my highest, greatest good. And, you know, kind of talking about the middle card, charity, you know, I try to be of service to others, but I really have to let go of how people perceive me, because that's out of this guy says, my hula hoop. Like, that's just out of my ability of things to control. And so I think those three marry together perfectly, those three cards.
Yeah, I just have two more that are from Amber Pool's deck.
Oh, I love Amber.
Her chakra crystal decks. And it's solar plexus, and it's 23, which comes up to the number 5, change, right? Yep. And that's exactly what's happening. Self ID, again, getting back to ourself, right? And then the throat chakra, with the number 9, and it's the will. And so it's coming to an understanding of self and and speaking that truth,
expressing
and
expressing
exactly.
that solar plexus identity through our throat, like that. Those two are, and the way that I see it is, not to hijack what you're talking about, is that, like, our solar plexus is our identity, our core. It comes up through our heart. So we're able to deliver the message with compassion, with love.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is my core of who I am. I express it with love through my throat.
Yeah, exactly. And kindness.
Yes.
Kindness.
Ooh,
and
I like
just
that.
like it says, be kind to someone today and your angel will bring something good for you. Say to yourself, I like being kind. This is a deck that I got for my son. He could pull little cute little angel cards, but it's just speaking that will, right? That truth with compassion. And with compassion for self and compassion for others. So I feel like, it's a lot of figuring out how to be who we are and changing who we are and how to express it without barreling it down other people's throats. Express it with love so that it can be received with love. So we're seen in our actions rather than just like our fighting words. It's about like in recovery, people are in recovery. It's about action rather than promotion, right? And so it's about just living that I am love and just embodying it. And also it's okay to have days where you have fights. It's okay to have anger. It's okay to have that energy too.
That's human
all
experience.
Who you are.
Yeah, that's the human experience. Like if I had this crazy notion that I had to, if I was going to be a spiritual person, that I had to wear like a caftan and like whisper speak and drink tea. And then that meant I was a spiritual person. And it was revolutionary when I realized that I could still like rock music and drink coffee and like have a bold voice. Like it didn't have to fit some idea of what a spiritual person is.
Yeah. And not a lot of people are aware of that because there's so much of that around, and those are people authentically who they are.
Totally.
And then it makes people that aren't that way, that are more brazen, that are more brash, that maybe their message comes through in a firm, strong tone, but the message is still love. But then they're like, "Ooh, can I fit in this box?" It's not a box. There's no box. So, all right, what do you have?
Okay, so I'm using the Mermaids and Dolphins deck by Doreen Virtue, and I am just going to pull a card. Treasure Chest. An unforeseen windfall of new abundance comes to you now. So I know that the economic system and how, not only on a global or country scale or even the state or county or city that you're in, but us personally are all going through financial change. There isn't anybody who isn't, because even if your situation is staying the exact same, your financial situation is influenced by what is going on around you. And so being able to understand that what abundance and the way that it works in our lives doesn't always show up the way that we think it is. So it can mean, a great example for me in my life is I used to drink this really kind of expensive coffee creamer, and I had a monthly subscription to it. It would come to my house every month, and I was thinking, gosh, I think I'm going to cancel this. It's just really expensive. And then somebody gifted me, actually my mom, like a whole bag of that exact same coffee creamer. So it was like probably like $100 worth of coffee creamer, right? And it's like, oh, that is abundance. That is money I would have already spent that now I don't have to spend. Seeing that as abundance, because when I did not have that frame of reference for abundance for most of my life, and when I started to shift that, I was like, oh, okay, now I really am abundant, and I am attracting the things that I need or the things that I want. And I will tell you that financial abundance and kind of the the catch-22 that we can get into with it has been one of the most difficult lessons of this last decade for me personally. When I learned about the law of attraction, I all but quit my job. I basically stopped going to work. And I was like, I'm just gonna attract some money here at home. You know, like I was like, it was, but I was also still in a fearful place and did not have any, except for I liked the idea of just being able to think about having money and having money. I still was like, oh, well, that's never going to work for me, but I wanted it to. So it was like, I was like pushing and pulling at the same time, which keeps you in this place where it neither is happening really. I just kind of just floundered. Anyways, I will try not to digress too much about abundance and attracting money or what
I like that. That's my favorite, one of my favorite topics.
What I have learned to start doing though is attracting the right situation for me and what it is that I'm asking for. So instead of saying I want $20,000 to get a school bus to go live in, I just say I want the right bus for me to show up, and then it does. Or, you know, if I am supposed to have a different job, I want that right job to just show up. Or if I'm supposed to move houses, I want that house. And I will tell you that once I started practicing this, cars, a travel trailer, a school bus, a house, multiple jobs, these things just, and again, it's hard to, if I was myself 5 years ago, I'd be like, that's crazy, Lady Lauren. But it's true. It's so true. I have a knowing that those things are going to come to me, and they're going to come to me in the perfect timing, and it will come to fruition in the perfect timing. And I will give a quick example of this. So I wanted my bus. I manifested my bus. I got my bus. I saw my bus in meditation. And then literally like 2 or 3 days later, I saw it on Facebook. I was like, oh, that's my bus. Cause I had been struggling with like, well, how will I know the bus that's for me? Like my higher self and spirit delivered tenfold. They're like, okay, well, now you have a mental picture of it. Oh, wait, here it is a few days later. And literally from the day that I saw it in meditation to the day that I picked it up was like a week and a half, just like that.
Yeah. That's
and amazing. all the things that needed to fell into place, the financing, the travel, all of that stuff. So, okay. So then I have my bus, and then, the timeline kind of got delayed. I thought I would be living and traveling in my bus at this time right now. And what I recently realized is, oh my gosh, no, it is such a blessing that I'm not, because most parks are closed. Most of the resources that I would be relying on while traveling are not available to people who are in mobile homes. And so, and then also my day job is a nurse. Sometimes I work as a nurse part-time. And if I was working at a hospital, who knows what hospital I would be at. And not that I would be afraid that I'd be being exposed to the virus, but I would be exposed to that toxic fear environment. And so now I'm not in a job right now where I'm getting exposed to that toxic fear environment. So what a blessing in terms of time frames. I could not have ever known that it would be in my highest, greatest good to not be in my bus right now. But I trusted that when it didn't happen in the time frame that I was hoping for, that it would turn out, it still turned out perfectly, right? And
Yep.
And now it is. In fact, the momentum with it is full bore. And I have somebody locally who is the perfect person to finish out my bus build. Like it is beyond me how the universe moves people and things and opportunities into our way. And what I will say is, if you feel like you have an opportunity and you're like, you're maybe afraid to take it, just, if you don't take that opportunity, that doesn't mean that opportunity is lost to you forever. Another opportunity will come around. If something is meant for us, it's like somebody uses an analogy of the train. I don't know if it is Lauren Antofermo or not, but like you know, it just because one train leaves the station doesn't mean that there's not another train behind it.
Right. Yeah.
So that was, I digress. I really, Treasure Chest was the name of, but it was really is talking about seeing things in a different way, like shifting that perspective so that you're seeing the abundance in your life
Yeah.
And maybe something doesn't necessarily look like abundance right away, but it can be an abundance. I'm gonna
Yes.
go ahead. I'm going to pull one more card.
Okay. So like, yeah, for me, paying attention to those little blessings, paying attention to them is really super important. And again, like trusting, I like the Trisha Carr analogy about like you go to a restaurant.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought you go to a restaurant, you place your order, and then you trust that the server is going to take it to the kitchen and the chef's going to make the food. And you don't keep asking for it. You don't keep hovering about it. And then it comes back in the time it's supposed to come. And you could even say, let the chef get weird. The chef knows better than I do. Like, universe knows better than I do. And if you just trust and allow and pay attention, you got to pay attention. You got to, when you get the things, like for me, I haven't talked about this publicly yet, but my husband passed away a month ago, and I'm able to talk about it without getting emotional because I turn off that, and I'm in a forum, where that doesn't really need to present itself. But I just had this knowing that we were going to be okay. I just knew I wasn't in a state of worry about bills and this and loans and all that. I just knew. And then suddenly I've got these charitable things that pop up that I've got nothing to do with. I've got random people sending me checks. My landlord is like, oh, don't worry about May's rent. Just don't worry about it. It's not like the government thing where I had to seek out assistance. I'm doing all the things I need to do as well. But I just knew I was just okay. And in that knowing, it just keeps coming. And I've got people around me that are like, you got to worry, and da-da-da. Yes, there's grounded things that I have to do. I can't just ignore stuff. I have to pay attention. I got to pay bills. I can't just ignore them and expect them to go away. But the thing about it is, you pay it not worrying that money's leaving your account and you're saying goodbye to it. Pay it knowing that it's just going to come back. I have to pay this bill. I pay this bill. I'm not worried about it. It's not going to hurt me.
Yeah.
I'm paying the bill. I have heat. I'm paying for heat. And it's going to come back. It's all good. I ate food with a friend, and I had to put it on one of my gift cards, and she was like, I'll Venmo you. And I was like, okay. And then I just never asked her for the Venmo. I thought about it, and then I was like, no, I've had dinner at her house. She's taking care of, like, no, why? I don't care. It's $30. Like, who cares? Who cares? I had a beautiful dinner with a friend. We enjoyed each other's company, and I've got it coming everywhere. And it's not just monetarily either abundance. It's abundance of people reaching out, of love, of messages about Nick, of heartfelt love and connection, even during this virus time, of people just reaching out and sending energetic love, like a feeling like I'm cocooned by the universe and by people because of all their hearts that are just like sheltering me and loving me, and I feel so safe and supported. That abundance also I have, and we all have that. Yeah. And we just open ourselves, and it's hard. There's some people that have that but or that always seeing in the negative, and I don't judge those people because I'm sure I've been in those times where I have that. I just choose not to have that now because it doesn't serve me. And if we can get that message across, that's such a huge shift. That's such a huge shift to like really realize that it's gonna be good no matter what your financial situation. It's gonna be good. Life can be good if you allow it.
There's this, that reminds me of this quote that I would call him a spiritual teacher of mine said, and he said, God did for me today what I couldn't do for myself, but he expected me to do something too. And that's what you were talking about, just doing the practical, like, groundwork of like, okay, like, I'm going to pay my bills, and I just trust that my higher power, God, the universe, my higher self, are setting things up so that that comes back to me. And there's definitely been times where I have been in lack and like, oh my gosh, I've got $20 in my account. I have no idea like how I'm going to buy gas so that I can drive to work. And then I mean, I will tell you, I can't even tell you how many times that I have like just got a check in the mail for that I was not expecting, I did not know was coming, and then there it was. There it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to do one more card, and then we will. Oh gosh, self-forgiveness. Let go of old guilt. Remember that you're perfect. You're God's perfect child. So that's a big that's a big theme, self-forgiveness. But the way that I practice self-forgiveness is I see myself in compassion. And the way the practice that I do is that whatever I am, and this the practice of compassion kind of is it becomes like it snowballs in your life. It's great because like we were talking about this off camera. I started practicing compassion for others, and that allowed me to have more compassion for myself. And then also, so self-forgiveness is like, well, I wouldn't judge another person for, stealing bread to feed their family. So if I have had to do that, then I can give myself compassion. It's that charity thing of giving myself charity, really, about like, okay, I will have understanding and really just hold love for myself. I will back up and say that when I first started my compassion practice for myself, that was I did not even feel worthy of giving myself love. I only felt worthy of giving myself compassion, because compassion felt like it just felt like an easier attraction point for me. So I would just give myself compassion. And I did a practice where I would imagine pouring compassion into my crown. I literally imagined having like a pitcher and pouring compassion in, and I would pour compassion in, and then I got to a place where I was like, oh, okay, like I feel good receiving this compassion, and then I was able to start allowing like love as well. And now it's I use the word transformed, but it really has transformed my life. And so it's also allowed me to have self-forgiveness. There's things in my past that I could hold and use to beat myself up about, and hold tight and say I'm a bad person, I've made bad decisions, I've done bad things. But it does not serve me to hold that energy. What it does serve me to do is to look at those things and then to do some work around those. So if that means that talking with another person about what happened, and then if I need to, making an amends or an apology if there was somebody else involved. If I can't make a direct amends or apology, then living in a way that puts that energy out to the universe. So self-forgiveness has been huge.
I like that. I remember at Bliss Retreat, not last year, but the year before, when Lauren Antifermo was speaking about, was it the body's aware, I can't remember what it was. She had a workshop, mm-hmm. and I asked a question, and I was like, talked about how I yelled at my son, and like I remember vividly the moment I was in the shower and I lost my temper and whatever, and how do I be a better mother? That was my question. How do I be a better mother? And she was like, babe, I don't think she said babe, but I feel like she would now. But she was like, compassion for yourself. So like, so you lost your temper. So beating yourself up about that constantly is living in that energy. And instead, let that go, find out what it was that triggered you, and you can still work on self in more compassion, but without living in that past moment and reliving it and beating yourself up over it. And we could talk about reliving moments like the Neville Goddard style and changing them and changing the energy of them with the magic, the woo that is Neville, and the possibilities are endless. But it changing your structure by reliving things in a positive way, but not living in that, wallowing in that. Especially like with Nick passing, I have you know, had moments where I go back and say, what if I did this? What if that? What if I did this? And I hold space and know that that's part of the process of loss, and I'm going to have those thoughts, and that's okay. And I don't stay, you know, in those, but yeah, for people to just know that it doesn't have to become as forgiveness immediately, because maybe that seems too far away. Maybe that seems like I don't deserve that. Maybe work on the compassion first. Maybe work baby steps, and then you get more comfortable with that, and you see how good it feels, and how it helps you change with your interactions with people. But just allowing for all of it to be a process, and to be okay with self, where you are at any given moment.
I think that, so the last thing I will say about this is that for me, I didn't, like, it seemed like unclear, it seemed intangible to give myself compassion. So that's why I used the picture thing, because visualizing pouring compassion in was something that my brain could do. I have a two-sided brain, a very Gemini brain, where I like science, and I like things that are verifiable, and I like action-oriented things. And so the stuff though that tends to be like a little bit more woo, which is intention and theoretical, or just words, always felt very unattainable to me. And so I would speak to those people who are more analytical or need action-oriented things. And I will say that the simple action of imagining a picture filled with compassion that you pour in is a literal thing that you are doing, and you have nothing to lose by not practicing that. You can just practice it for a week. Just practice it for a week and see how it feels. I would do it in the bathroom. I would usually do it in the bathroom around shower time, and just pour in a picture of compassion. That's all you got to do. So that would be my ending tip, is to try the picture of compassion for a week. You have nothing to lose.
I dig it. That's awesome. Cool.
So, if you want to get a hold of us, we are on YouTube, Universal Co-Creation, and there will be links down below. Also, remember to subscribe so that you're able to see all the new content that we produce. We are doing a free live web stream group gathering on May 1st at 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, and there'll be links to join that Zoom webinar also below this video. Then you can get a hold of me at laurenolivia.net, and Tiff?
TiffanyFede.com.
Sweet. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. See you,
Bye,
Lauren.
guys.
Bye.